So let's take the blessings from our ISKCON Shishadipuram deities. जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमाई की जय गौरनिताई की जय पंचतत्व की जय गिरि गोवर्धन की जय शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय लेट्स डू द प्रेयर ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य अज्ञानजनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्य पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. So we are in chapter number 7 and shlok number 2 we are going to recite today. So the whole theme is about demigods, and under that we are covering this shlok. So we'll see the shloka and the translation and then see the details. ज्ञाना ते अहम सर्विज्ञानम इदं वक्ष्यामि अशेत यत्तत्व्य न इयभूयन्त यत्वयम् अवशिष्यते. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Hare Krishna. So anybody would like to recite the shloka and the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Kalyani Mataji, you want to try?
Yes, Prabhuji. Bhagavad Gita 7.2. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamyasheshatah yajñatva neha bhuyo nyajñatavyam avashishyate. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Anybody else want to read the shloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I?
Please Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti 7.2. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam bhakshamya sheshatah yajñatva neha bhuyo nyatavyam avashishyate. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you Mataji. Hare Krishna. So here two points are mentioned here. One is called as phenomenal and numinous. Phenomenal means philosophy and numinous means religious study. So now Lord is declaring here and he is declaring the full knowledge. So when we say full knowledge means if we have full knowledge, we should not know or we need not know anything else. So what is this full knowledge? And that is why also this full knowledge, it is called as absolute knowledge. So knowledge means to know how this universe is working. That is, what is the force, working force? What is the energy? The scientists are searching out different energies. The earth is floating weightlessly. So now you imagine such a huge mass. Earth is having such a huge mass with so many mountains, so many seas, oceans, and you have these skyscrapers, you have cities, you have towns, you have so many countries, and this is floating in air. And it is floating just like a cotton ball. So if one understands how it is floating, that is the knowledge. And Krishna consciousness means to have all kind of knowledge. It is not that we Krishna conscious people, we are being carried away by some sentiments. That is not correct. People, say it is a cult or just by sentiments we are just carried away. So we have in Krishna consciousness, we have got philosophy, we have science, we have theology, we have ethics, we have morality, everything required to be known in this human form of life. So Krishna in this shloka he says here, I will speak to you all about knowledge. So he is giving the ultimate knowledge. So this is Krishna consciousness. A Krishna consciousness person should not be a fool, right? He can explain how this complete universe, planets, they are floating, how the soul is evolving through different species of life, right? How it transmigrate from one body to another body. Now we already know that there are different departments of scientific knowledge, right? We have know there is physics, there is botany, then there is chemistry, then there is astronomy, and so on, right? So in this shloka, Krishna says, Yag Gyatva. So knowing which. So if through Krishna consciousness you understand the knowledge I am presenting, then you will have nothing left to know. That means you have complete knowledge. Now you see, every day we are hankering after knowledge, right? People going to the YouTubes, going to Facebook, and they are just surfing. They are surfing the net. They are after knowledge. They are hankering for the knowledge. But if we are in knowledge of Krishna consciousness and if we know Krishna, then all knowledge is included. So you will have full knowledge about constitutional position of yourself. Not only yourself, this material world, the spiritual world, God, then what is our interrelationship, then you will know about the time, the space, everything. So there are many things to be known, but the principal things are God, the living entities, time, work, and the material energy. These five things are to be known. And above all, there is a controller. You cannot deny God just by saying there is no God. God is the controller, and He is actually the supreme controller. And you cannot deny or you cannot say that you are not being controlled. There is a controller. So even with regards to the state or the country, you cannot say there is no controller, right? There is a controller. In every street, in every house, there is government control, right? Somebody is actually governing. So if you are staying in an apartment or a building, right, a residential house, so in the apartment, you see the government says ki there should be this kind of fire arrangement or alarm, right, for some rules and regulation. Even if you walk in the street or if you drive your car, there is a control, right? So you have to keep to the right. You cannot just cross if there is a board saying that or a red light saying that to stop. If there is a red light, you have to stop. So that way, everything, everywhere, you are controlled by someone. So there is a controller. But we have to understand that there is a supreme controller who is Krishna. So you see that everywhere there is one controller and above that there is another controller, isn't it? So you just see from your house itself. In your house, there may be some controller, right? Some senior family member who is controlling the complete family. Then in that house is situated in that building. Again, that building have some management. Somebody is controlling that building. Then there will be some another controller in that particular street, maybe some local MLA. And then again, to control that, there may be some CM. And then to control that CM, there may be some prime minister. So you see that there is a controller, and over that, there is another controller. But the supreme controller is Lord Krishna. So if you go on searching out who is the ultimate controller, then you will find Krishna. And in Brahma Samhita, in chapter number 5, it confirms that Ishvara Brahma Krishna, the supreme controller is Krishna. So we have to get knowledge of this controller and how actually he is controlling. So Vijnanam, the knowledge of Krishna refer to here means to not only know the controller, but to know how he is controlling. So now it is fine that we know that the supreme controller is Krishna. But not only that, also have to know how he is actually controlling. So how many energies he has got. So you see that when from the tree a apple is falling, right? So people know that okay, a tree have fruits, and when it falls into the ground. So nobody asks actually why. But if you see Newton, he he asked why, right? So this knowledge can be understood by a person who has made a relationship with Krishna and is a surrendered soul. So this is a very, very important line. To understand a person, you have to make a relationship with him, right? So let's say you want to good with your spouse or your children. First, you have to make a relationship. You have to understand that person. Then only you can understand him, and then only a proper relationship will be developed. So knowledge can be understood by a person who has made a relationship with Krishna. And very important thing is he has to surrender. So without surrendering, you cannot make a relationship. So it is very obvious, right? In our day-to-day life also, if you show ego with your manager or to your spouse or your children, can you form a relation, a good relation? That is not possible. You always have to surrender your. So when you say you means the soul, soul has to surrender. So similarly, to know the supreme controller, you have to first surrender. You cannot just accept anybody or nobody can accept you until and unless you are surrendered. So without being surrendered, it is very difficult to understand the controller, his energies, and how he is actually controlling everything. So it is just like you enter into any education institute, right? If you don't surrender yourself to the So when you go to, let's say you go to the college or school, there also you are surrendering, right? So how you are actually surrendering there? By following the rules and regulation of that particular institute. So without following the rules and regulation, then what will happen? We all know. So you have to be controlled or you have to be surrender to the rules and regulation. So the full knowledge of the controller and the process of controlling can be understood, just like you have seen that how Arjuna, initially he was in a so much doubting state. He was not able to understand what is happening. But the moment he surrendered to Krishna, then everything started become very clear. So that clearly shows that unless one is surrendered soul, it is not possible to understand. So you have to always remember that Arjuna surrendered himself to Krishna, and therefore Krishna is speaking to him. So you see, there were so millions people there in the battlefield, but the knowledge was only given to Arjuna because he was very much surrendered to Krishna. So actually, this discussion of scriptures are not to be done unless there is a relationship between the speaker and the audience. So what is actually this audience here? So audience means the disciples. And what is the meaning of disciple? Disciple means one who accepts the discipline. The exact Sanskrit word for disciple is shishya, right? So which comes from root shash. Shash means controlling. And from shas, the word shastra comes. And what is shastra? Shastra means the book that control. Right? From shas also comes the word shastra. So you see these two words, shastra and shastra. Shastra means what? Shastra means a weapon. And shastra means book that controls, the rule book actually. So when the argument fails, reason fails, then there is a force. That is the simple thing. So how we can understand this is, just now we discussed the country or the state controls in that way. The first of all, they give you the laws. And if you break the laws, if you don't follow the rule, regulations, the shastras, then the next step will be automatically shastra, means weapon. Shastra, right? Shastras and shastras. So in Sanskrit word, if you see, there will be a bindu, right? That's the only, otherwise both word pronounced very similar. One is shastra, one is shastra. So shastra means rule book and shastra means weapon. So if you don't follow the regulation of the government, then what will happen? The police will come into the scenario, right? Shastra. So here Shastra will be police. So you have to be controlled. Now, if you are a gentleman, then you can be controlled under the instruction of Shastra. If you are not a gentleman, then you will be controlled under Shastra, that is weapon. So in that case, it may be a police or a battlefield war. So in the nature, who is Shastra? In this nature, who is Shastra, can you say that? Anybody want to try? Who is Shastra in this nature?
The government, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so that is in the material world. In the spiritual world, so actually, when we say about spiritual world, it is the Durga Devi. We have seen Durga Devi with this trident, right? So everywhere when we see the picture of Durga Devi, he is holding a trident. So what this trident actually refer? So if you see, there are three pointed arrows in that trident, right? So these three arrows are actually threefold miseries. So what are these threefold miseries? So these threefold miseries are those caused by our own body and mind. That is one, right? In that one, that three arrow, one is our own body and mind. And the second one, those caused by others. And the third one is caused by the nature. So these are the threefold miseries. One caused by our own body and mind, and one caused by others, and one which is caused by nature. So you cannot violate any rules and regulation of the country or the state. Similarly, you cannot violate the rules of the Supreme or Krishna. So, for example, you take if there are some health issue, let's say you have indigestion, and the doctor will then advise you not to eat for maybe 3 days. So, you see, there is a control by nature. Nature means actually God law. So, Durga Devi is also, as we have learned this before, that Durga Devi is actually one of the external energy of Krishna. So nature means God's law. So it is, you see, it is automatically working, right? In our society, some association will be forced and create this rule books. So similarly, you see, God's law, it is automatically working. And only the foolish people, they will not see God's law. But the God law is there. You see how this beautifully the sun is rising exactly on the same time. Moon is rising exactly on the same time. The first day of the year, the first day of January, the first day of January has come exactly on the time. So there is control. But foolish people do not see it. So now we can see that everything is controlled. So how the things are working and how things are being controlled, this we have to know. We simply, especially the Krishna conscious people, they will not go by sentiments, right? Many people, the outsiders, they see this as a sentiments. Religious sentiment is good for person who follow blindly, right? But Bhagavad Gita give us full information so that you can accept God with your reason, with your argument, with your knowledge. It is not a blind following. Krishna consciousness is not a sentiment. It is completely backed by knowledge, what we called as jnana, and practical knowledge, vijnana. So there are two knowledge right here, jnana and vijnana. So how actually we get knowledge? Knowledge we get through proofs. Now, can somebody tell me how many types of proofs are there? It is also called as pramana. So in Shastra, how many types of pramanas are there? How many types of, we have discussed this multiple times. How many types of praman? So see,
Prabhuji,
if you want to,
nature will observe you, the sun, moon. That is what you're asking.
yeah, that is, so
Like the sun is observing us, the
how we
moon is
accept that,
observing
how we
us.
accept those proofs. Basically, we need proofs, right? If somebody want to convince you for something, so we need to have proofs. So now these proofs are actually categorized in different categories. There are different categories of proofs, or pramana, what we called as pramana. So how many types of pramanas are there? Okay, there are
Prabhupada, is
three.
it Pratyaksha Pramana?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
One is pratyaksha, then there are three types of praman.
Anumana Pramana,
Yes, Anumana
Paroksha
Pramana.
and
And the third
Paroksha.
one,
Paroksha Pramana.
Shabda Pramana. So three types of pramanas are Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. So Pratyaksha, what is Pratyaksha Pramana? How you actually get that? It is sense perception. Pratyaksha Pramana, that physical world, what we are seeing, right? We are seeing through our senses. That is called as Pratyaksha Pramana. So senses, again, they are imperfect. We called it as imperfect senses. Our senses are not perfect, right? We discussed this before. Why our senses are not perfect? So we say that ki whatever we see, that we make a sense perception. So in this physical world or this material world, we cannot say this is the absolute truth because we are seeing it from our imperfect senses. So anyway, this is one category of pramana or proof that we get, which is called as pratyaksha pramana. And what is anuman pramana? It is actually conception knowledge based on the assumptions. It depends on assumptions, logical inference. We say in science, if you have read, hence proved, theories are built, and then we say hence proved. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, that means A is equal to C. Logical inference, right? Which is nothing but Hanuman Pramana. And then the third one is Shabda Pramana. So so what is Shabda Pramana?
Sounds, hearing, we
So
hear all sounds.
Shabda Pramana is not sound. The medium is sound. What is Shabda Pramana?
Promise.
Is actual
so
truth.
hearing from scriptures or
Yes, yes. That is, so here, not hearing from anybody, right? Hearing from scriptures, which is also called as absolute truth. So in these three pramanas or proofs, which is the best one?
Shabda
Shabda
Pramana.
Pramana.
Shabda Pramana, because it has no defects. If your source is perfect, then there is no defect. It is absolute truth. Just as, the apple just we discussed is falling, right? People who is other than Newton may speculate so many things, right? But then Newton came into the picture and he showed the scientific reasons. So that means he is the source of that particular proof. Why it is falling? What is the reason why it is falling? Otherwise, if we have some defect, we cannot actually properly say that why it is falling. And somebody may say it is obvious, it will fall only. Correct? So these three kind of proofs are very important. So if you see in Krishna consciousness or in Bhagavad Gita, we get the complete knowledge, and that is jnana and vijnana. So not only jnana is uh, theoretical, right? But we also get the practical knowledge, which is also called as vijnana. So it is very important to understand this. So the process to understand this knowledge is surrendered soul. So you can only understand this knowledge of Krishna consciousness or Krishna when you are a surrendered soul. Otherwise, what will happen? You see that people come into the bhakti for some time and they leave it. And many unfortunate people, they not even come to the near radius of this bhakti. So therefore, one becomes a disciple, or one who accepts the discipline. Disciple means discipline. So without accepting discipline, we cannot make any progress. So now these things must be very clear, right? The way we go to the institute and follow the rules and regulation, then only we get the acceptance as a student. And similarly, in our house, in our society, we have to follow the rules and regulation. So we are actually accepting the discipline. And that is how we progress. That is how we come to know about that. And that is how they also accept us. So if you want to be aware of any field of knowledge, any field of activity, scientifically and factually, then you should accept the controlling principle. So now here in this chapter, it is um, so in this chapter, it is explained who is the supreme worshipable object. So according to our capacity, we all worshipping somebody, right? We cannot deny that. Let it be a devotee or non-devotee. If you uh, see that everybody is worshipping somebody. At least we are worshipping our boss, isn't it? Suppose I work in an office or in a factory, I have to worship the boss. I have to abide by his orders. So everyone is actually worshipping. Now in this chapter, it is explained that who the supreme worshipable object is Krishna and how he is supreme worshipable object. So therefore, if we understand that there is a supreme controller, here the supreme worshipable object, then the problem of our life actually is solved. If we know that whom actually we have to worship, who is the supreme, right? So every place, every institute, every uh, place, there is somebody who is governing. But if we know that who is the supreme governor, then the things are actually solved. So we should be intelligent enough. We have to understand we are serving every one of us. At least we are serving our senses, whether you believe it or not. You may say, ki, no, I don't care about my manager. But then at least we are serving our senses. What are these senses? Our five senses, we know, right? We are serving our senses at least. So practically, people are not serving any boss or any master. Actually speaking, when you say yes, sir, go to the office and say yes, boss, you make some master and always bow down to him. Actually, you are not serving your manager or your boss. Actually, you are serving your senses. Suppose I am serving somebody as my boss. Actually, I am not serving this person. Actually, I am serving his money because he is giving money, right? So he may say, tomorrow you have to come to work for free. What you will say? So let's say ki now you are getting 1,000 rupees per day or $20 a day. and your boss say tomorrow, I don't have money, but tomorrow you come and work, what you will say? Will you work for free? So you will say, no, no, sir, no, I am not coming. Because I am not serving you, I am serving your money. So actually we are serving money. And why we are serving money? You see, this whole material world is actually serving after money.
To serve our senses.
Yeah, we are actually to satisfy our senses. Without money, we cannot satisfy our senses. A simple logic. If you want to drink something, a fruit juice, or you want to eat something, you need money, right? And so basically, you want to satisfy your senses. So now understand this thing, very important thing. So I think we have crossed the time, but just try to understand this very important thing. Ultimately, we are serving our senses. If you see, Krishna is also called as Govinda. What is Go? If you dissect, is Go and what is Vinda? Go means senses, our senses, right? Go means senses. What is Vrinda? Vrinda is giver of pleasure. So if sense pleasure is, so actually if you see here, we are serving our senses, right? But what actually we should do? So Krishna is called as Govinda, one who gives the pleasure to the senses. Go means senses, and we ultimately want our sense to be satisfied. So, actual meaning here is if you serve Krishna, then your senses will be satisfied. Therefore, this name is Govinda. But actually, what we are doing, we are serving our senses. But what is real senses? The real senses are the transcendental senses. We are thinking that this material senses, this our body, right? The body is the material senses. To satisfy it means actual enjoyment. But actual enjoyment is nothing to do with material senses. We have to satisfy our transcendental senses. And transcendental senses means Krishna, Govinda. So that is why you see when you serve Krishna or when you take prasadam, you feel more satisfied than by eating not a normal food, which is not prasad, or when you are satisfying yourself. Compared to that, if you serve Krishna and take prasadam, you can feel the difference. So, therefore, bhakti, the devotional service, means purifying the senses to be employed in the service of Supreme Pure. So now how you are serving actually to transcendental senses? Only through bhakti or devotional service. So Lord is Supreme Pure. So in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter number 10, you will find that Arjuna, he addresses Krishna as Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. So you are the Supreme Pure. He refers him as Supreme Pure. So if you want to serve the senses of Supreme Pure, then we have to become pure also. So until and unless you are pure, you cannot serve the Supreme Pure or the senses of the Supreme Pure. So being pure means spiritual. So spiritual life means pure life, and material life means contaminated life. So we have got this body, and this body is impure body. So therefore, we suffer from disease. That is why we call it as impure body also, right? We always suffer from disease. We suffer from old age. We suffer from birth. We suffer from death. But our actual form is our spiritual form. So there is no suffering there. So there is no birth, no death, no disease, no old age. So in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter number second, also we read this. Slok number 20, we have read that the soul is nitya, eternal. Soul is pure. So actually, when we come to this world, the soul actually come to the world, right? So it is always pure. But when it enter into the body, it become impure. So how we purify the senses, Krishna consciousness or devotional service means purifying the senses. So we have to simply purify the senses. So because we are living entities, our senses are there. But the at present moment, because we are materially contaminated, our senses are not getting full enjoyment. That is why you see whatever you do, you will not. So the enjoyment we get maybe for some moment. After that, we need something else, right? That is why you see people are surfing the net, surfing the mobile, reel after reel. Why? Because you take some, you think that this particular topic is will give me enjoyment, but what happens after some time? The enjoyment vanishes. So actually, the senses are not getting full enjoyment. Why? Because we are giving the enjoyment to the material senses. We are not giving the enjoyment to the spiritual senses, and spiritual senses is to serve Lord Krishna. So purification means you have to free from all kind of designations. All these upadhis are there, right? Saying that I am a manager, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am Indian, I am American. These are material designations or upadhis. We have to come out of that, and we have to think that I am what? I am a pure soul. Until we think that way, we cannot purify ourselves. So we are part and parcel of Krishna's. So the objective or ultimate goal is to serve Krishna. And that is only way you can satisfy your senses. Otherwise, if you satisfy the material senses, you will be enjoying just for a moment, not for all the time. So you have to satisfy Krishna. And very crude example which Prabhupada gives is a husband in a family. Husband is understood as a enjoyer and the wife is considered as enjoyed. So, but if the wife satisfies the senses of the husband, her senses are also satisfied. Similarly, if you got some itching in your body, right, part of your body, and the finger actually scratched the body, the satisfaction will be also not only felt in the body but also felt by the finger. So it is just like that, right? So we have to understand that we have to satisfy Krishna. Then only the ultimate satisfaction will come. So another example is given about the satisfying the stomach of your body, right? When you satisfy your stomach, the whole body is automatically gets satisfied. The stomach will issue the energy, right? It will digest the food, and then the digested food will transform into blood. Then the blood will go to the heart, and from the heart it will diffuse all over the body, and all the body, the tiredness will go away, and body will be satisfied, right? All the exhaustion will go away. So this is So this is the process of actually Krishna consciousness, the science of Krishna consciousness. So Jnana and Vijnana. So not only we are getting the Gyan, we are actually knowing the scientific, the real root, the real source of this knowledge, right? Which is very important. That is why it is called as absolute truth. That is why Krishna is referring to Arjuna that this is called as absolute truth. And Krishna is revealing this personally to understand the science of Krishna consciousness. And then he is saying, if you understand this, then there is nothing else you have to know. Everything will be known. So this is such a nice thing. So thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis. I think that is what is explained in this shloka. Anybody want to add anything or ask anything? We can just discuss. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Prabhu, can you just repeat the pramanas again so that I just write it down so that it won't escape my mind?
Yes, Prabhuji. So here, what we are saying is, see, anything we want to believe, we need some proofs, right? Pramana, that is
Yeah.
called as pramana. So
Okay.
pramana, we get in three various ways.
Hmm.
One is called as pratyaksha praman, one is called as anumana praman, and one is called as shabda praman. Okay. So pratyaksha pramana, it means sense perception. We feel through skin, we see through eyes. Correct? So these are
Yeah.
called as sense perception. This physical world, the domain is physical world. But there is a limitation of pratyaksha pramana, that is because our senses are imperfect.
Imperfect.
That is why we should not completely believe on pratyaksha pramana, because it is completely based on sense perception. And senses are imperfect. The next pramana is anumana pramana. It is nothing but the logical inference, what we come out of it. It depends on assumptions. The way we see all the scientists prove something, right? If this is this, then this is the conclusion. So he make logical inferences, right? So it depends on assumptions. And the third pramana is Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana, which comes out of the mouth of Krishna. So it is the source of the knowledge, basically. That is why it is called as absolute truth. There is no defect in this because it is coming right from the source. And the source is Krishna. So let's say we discuss the example of Newton. Why your apple is falling? Because he has given the actual root reason out of it. So he is the actual source. If the knowledge is coming out of from the source who is producing that thing, then we can conclude that this is the truth. Correct?
Yes.
But if it goes from one place to another place, it can deteriorate, we say, right?
Yes. Yes.
There becomes some defects in that. Some adulteration, what we say.
Diluted.
So that is called as, that is why we call this as absolute truth, Shabda Pramana. So if the source is Krishna, that means it is having no defect. So these three pramana, pratyaksha, anumana, and shabda, these are the three mode of pramana or proofs through which we can actually understand or we convince any concept or theory or anything. So does that answer, Prabhuji?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
anybody
for a
want to ask
wonderful
me?
class, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Tanva Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis. So we'll join tomorrow again with another shloka. So please join for the chanting from 6:30 and 6:45 we'll have the class. So we'll end up here. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna to
Krishna,
everybody
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
assembled.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Namaste, pranams. Prabhuji,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.